Okay, so we're streaming again. All right. Now, because I'm starting over on this because of the fact that there we I just didn't know if I was getting through or not, and I think it's kind of an important show. So, okay, you know what I should have done was this. Just refresh the page, huh? New notifications from. Hold on. Okay, hi Mary. Hello everyone, this is Mary Sutherland, and I want to thank you for being here today. I'm going to jump on over to Facebook and see if everything's good up there. All right. Hopefully we're streaming to Facebook right now. All right, so here I go. I'm just going to assume it's working now, all right? And if it's not, just let me know. So I'm going to go back to, all right, I'm going back to this. Energy, including ours, is engaged in a constant exchange with the energy of the world around us. Like the flame of a candle, we constantly radiate energy outward, which is dispersed into the world around us. Spent energy constantly disperses from us, being shed into the process of our burning. This energy drifts off of us, settling like psychic dust into the subtle world. This trace of our passing will linger for some time until the energy is picked up by one of the currents of the subtle reality. Once it gets caught in one of the eddies or flows, the energy is moved and agitated, reduced to a natural state again, eventually being recycled into the greater whole. However, it can also drift into stagnant places like the storeroom, basement, or closet. In that case, the energy simply adds to the debris already built up there, helping to create a very rank and oppressive atmosphere. As no current moves through places like this in order to clean them out, the energy will remain there until someone comes by to consume it or someone cleanses the area. By consuming it, we're absorbing it, or you can just cleanse the area by smudging. Not all the energy that we leave in the world around us is simply cast off psychic debris. Some of the energy fingerprints we leave on objects and places are imprints that we very actively put there. By attaching special significance to certain places or things, we actually invest some of our energy into that location or object. Whether we are conscious of the process or not, the more attention and emotion we focus on something, the deeper impression that we leave upon it. This is the case we find in the Burlington Woods. But you're also going to find that, that residue. People, if you're a ghost hunter, you can go in and you're feeling you're picking up strong attachments. That's a pretty good reason as to why you're picking up a lot of emotion from a house. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is haunted so much as it is that there is a lot of emotional imprint on that area or on that house. And the stronger, the more emotional attachment you put to a house or to an object or to a person, the stronger the imprint. And it could actually lead to possession. Okay, so going on, psychic imprints of a loved one who has passed away. Now this is, like I said, if you want to read this again, you can go to my timeline, click onto notes, and then you'll be able to read on energy imprints. Now let us say that your grandmother has passed away. You've inherited her house and a good portion of her personal effects. Sad, but a little excited to be gifted with such tangible memories of her, you move in. You have one of her rings resized so you can wear it as a constant reminder of what she meant to you in life. You are very happy in your new home, but after a few weeks, you start noticing things that seem a little strange. For instance, every time you walk past the kitchen, it seems like you can see your grandmother standing over the stove. You catch the image just out of the corner of your eye, and of course, when you look directly at it, there's nothing there. But it seems like her presence lingers in the kitchen, even when you can't actually see her. You also get a strong sense of her radiating from her favorite rocking chair. This is so strong that you unconsciously leave the rocking chair empty, almost as if you're expecting her to sit down in it at any moment. And sometimes when you're sleeping, you wake up all of a sudden, and it seems like your grandmother is hovering over you, watchful and protecting. You can't see anything in the darkness of your room, but the sense of her presence is almost palpable. Now, you don't get the feeling that your grandma means you any harm, but the strength of the impression has got you a little spooked. You hardly intended to be sharing your new home with a ghost. Feeling a little out of your water, you decide to do a little research. You check out a few books on the subject and learn that ghosts often linger due to unfinished business. Furthermore, they often appear to family members that they need to communicate with. You experimentally try talking to your grandmother, assuring her that you love her, and although she's terribly missed, she really needs to move on. Yet this is like talking into a phone that has no one on the other end. There's no response. And you do not even get a sense that the spirit's listening to you. The impressions of your presence continue, but always in the same places. And no matter how hard you try to communicate, she never responds. Okay, you guys still with me? I hope. Okay, Lori's here. Sarah's here. Ken's here. Aiden's here. So I guess the live streaming is coming through. So this is a good thing. Okay, so back to my article I've written on communicating with spirit and psychic energy, which I think is very, very close to what we're picking up as Ishkake records. We leave little echoes of ourselves in the places and objects that are important to us. Sometimes we are half conscious of this. For example, if you want a close friend to have a reminder of us, we often give them some piece of jewelry or some little object that was very precious to us. We usually even give it with the words, "Keep this close, it'll remind you of me." The reminder is, I got a sneeze coming. Sorry about that. When spirit gets around me, a lot of times I sneeze. The reminder is not simply in the gesture of giving the gift. We could just as easily go to the store and pick up something expensive. But some of the most precious gifts we give to others are things that we have had with us for a while. Things that we attach a great deal of sentimental value to. Why? Because our energy is all over these things. When we give this to someone, we are giving them a piece of ourselves, and that energy, unique to us, will radiate out of the object, constantly reminding our loved one of what it feels like to have us near. So think about that. Think about people that, a mate that has died, crossed over. Go into their closet, touch their clothes. You'll still feel their energy. You'll still feel their emotions of when they wore those clothes. The jewelry, that favorite chair. So you can go, and if you're really wanting to communicate with them, you can just grab their, you can still be with them through their energy that they left behind. Emotional imprints. It is possible, too, for us to leave traces of our energy on objects or places without having that energy resonate with our personal presence. Strong emotions can very easily imprint themselves on the world around us. Homes, workplaces, even hotel rooms can develop a distinct buildup of emotional residue. These residue linger in the subtle reality, affecting everyone who comes into contact with them on a deep and unspoken level. Emotional residue, like our psychic dust, build up over time. Unlike psychic dust, however, emotional residue can linger for quite a while. Since we tend to associate places with the emotions we've experienced in them, we have a habit of experiencing the same feelings in the same places over and over again. The pre-existing energy of the place only encourages this, and so it creates a self-perpetuating cycle of emotion. For example, a teenager almost always retreats to her room for sanctuary from the unfair world. Whenever this young person has a bad day at school or has an argument with her parents, she'll take all of her hurt feelings with her to her private space. Now, her original intention is to simply find some place that is separate and away from those things that seem to be always be hurting her. And yet, by constantly taking these bad feelings into her personal space, she imprints the negativity on the very walls that surround her. Over time, this builds up and it becomes a self-perpetuating system of negative emotions. Given the tremendous or tumultuous energy of a teen, this cycle can get pretty intense. Before too long, her room has become a kind of an emotional pit where anyone walking in can just feel the angst and the anger dripping off the walls. A little bit of this negativity runs off onto anyone exposed to it, inspiring similar emotion, which then feed back into the pre-existing residue. Like breeds like, where emotional residues are concerned, and every time the lingering impression inspires that self-same emotion in a person, that person's emotional energy feeds back into the residue, strengthening it. So whenever your parents come up to whenever her parents came up to her room to comfort her, they find themselves instead inspired to a confrontation. They wind up yelling and arguing even more, unaware that a large part of their feelings are being influenced by the general feel of negativity radiating from her home. In such an atmosphere, it is almost impossible not to react to the ambient emotion. Negative emotions often leave the strongest lingering impressions, but not all emotional resonance inspire bad feelings in people. We can invest objects with very positive impressions as well. Consider that favorite teddy bear you had as a child. You carried the thing with you everywhere. And for you, it was the ultimate talisman of safety and security in an unpredictable world. When you went to bed at night, you knew beyond any kind of doubt that that bear would protect you from all the monsters under your bed. You lavished love and attention upon it. So much so, it almost seemed to take on a personality of its own. Once you outgrew the need for the teddy bear, you still kept it around, and eventually it was given to a very special child in your adult life. And the very first time that child held that teddy bear, he could feel the comfort and safety radiating off of it. Each time he took it to bed with him, he or she knew just by the feel of the bear that he would be safe. And his feelings of comfort and security fed back into the bear, perpetuating the emotional impression. Someday, at a much later time, the bear might end up in an antique shop, and the person who picks it up will immediately sense the love it was given. The impression of childhood trust and comfort breathes almost tangibly from the worn cloth of the toy. All of us have handled toys like this, little childhood talismans that seem to have taken on a life of their own. As children, our energy is unguarded and pure. We focus that energy into things without any kind of hesitation or reserve. And so the lingering impression of childhood emotions are some of the strongest we can encounter. There has been, this paragraph on energy constructs, creative spirits, such as what we have again in the Burling Woods and the sacred site areas. Let me just check one more time, see if you got any questions. Okay, I think Marilyn was telling me yes, she could hear it, so I wouldn't have had to turn around and turn that off, but okay, what Hurl, may God rebuke you. Ain't that something? Alrighty. So, going on. So now, energy constructs. There's been movies made about dolls invested with enough energy that they achieve a weird kind of life. Usually this is the stuff of horror films and nightmares, but let's look back at the teddy bears example for a moment. Think about all the energy that a child puts into a toy like that. A child names the toy, makes up stories about it. The toy becomes, in his mind, a special friend, almost more real to him than the kid who lived down the street. How much innocent energy does it take to invest the toy with some kind of actual personality? Is there such a thing as a created spirit? It is possible for enough energy to be invested into a residue that it takes on a life of its own. This process is very rare, but it can still happen with unintentionally. More common, although still far and few between, are intentionally created energy constructs. These are sometimes called elemental by witches and magical workers. Another term for them is astral construct, because they exist entirely in the non-physical realm. What is the difference between an energy construct and the impression of your grandmother lingering in the house? First and foremost, the construct is something which has no existence separate from the energy which makes it up. Your grandmother was a living person, unique and vital and very physically real. After her passing, a great deal of her energy lingered in her living space and on those objects precious to her. When you saw your grandmother in the house, it was an impression only, even though your mind interpreted it as her actual presence. A second spirit was not born out of the lingering energy she left behind. These were just echoes of her. Imprints. Now, an energy construct, on the other hand, is created purely out of energy. It has no real existence in the physical world prior to or after its creation. It can be tied to a particular physical object or even a place, but this serves as a focus only. The real existence of the construct is in the subtle realm. Such constructs are born of a continuous buildup of focused energy. Even the energy of strong emotion, or the equally potent energy of a person's intentionally directed will. It kind of sounds like the Haunted Woods, doesn't it, when we put our attention to looking for particular things. I used to think it was had something to do with maybe the woods being a quantum holographic computer. Then I got to think, well, maybe it's us that are the quantum holographic computers. But then I started coming to the idea that we are constructing objects or pulling objects from this invisible world or realm, as you may want to call it, into our manifestation. Just very, very much like tulpids creating certain things with our thoughts, okay, which can be brought on as emotion, or it can actually take on a physical appearance. Some people even think that that's what a Bigfoot is. A lot of these crypto uh, entities are. I think there's a lot more to it than that, though, with the Bigfoot. But it could open up the realm where we can see them, though. Okay, so the intentional constructs can be invested with a limited amount of sentience, kind of like a spiritual program that dictates certain actions they should perform. Unintentionally created constructs usually play out a limited set of actions inspired by whatever created them in the first place. Thus, a construct that has developed in a home where there was a constant anger and fighting will simply roam around, inspiring the same sort of feelings in others and feeding off the energy those emotions produce. The significant difference between a simple residue and a construct at this point is the independence it is achieved. The construct can move from place to place in the subtle reality, much like any other spirit, while a residue is usually tied to the place where it was created until it's worn out or removed. The construct also actively seeks out the kind of energy that will perpetuate its existence, whereas a residue does this only passively. Finally, a construct will instinctively avoid anything that might harm it or bring about the end of its existence, meaning it has consciousness. This indicates at least a limited amount of sentience, a fact which is just a little unsettling, considering this creative spirit developed from nothing more than a buildup of cast-off human emotion. Ghostly imprints. Hold on, let me check again. See if there's anybody screaming too loud. Okay. I think we're pretty good. I think. On my, so let's go back to hold on. This way gives my voice a little bit of a rest too. Okay, okay. Here we go. Well, let me go back now into the ghost. Oh, baby. Here we go. So, residual energy imprint hauntings are the product of an emotional incident, often a violent event. Strong energy seems to be stored in physical land and surroundings. There have been stories of mass slaughtering of an Indian tribe that took place over 2 days. People say they still hear the screams throughout the woods and also see images of kids playing and adults hunting. This tribe lived on those lands for many generations. When they were alive, their presence on the land has a strong impact. That energy cannot just disappear. Like a footprint left in the sand, a spiritual imprint was left on their land. While this type of haunting, witnesses may see the same advent performed over and over. Eventually, the energy will get low and the appearance will become less often. When someone witnesses this kind of haunting and is startled or frightened by it, that energy may refuel the setting so that the manifestation and or impression continue. It is believed that imprints account for many of hauntings reported. An imprint can also be of a single person who is attached to his land or house and can be seen picking weeds from the garden or inspecting the house to see what work needs to be done. When imprints are witnessed, it should be interpreted that the land is very special. So anyhow, that is what I have on that. So this could be part of the, as you see, this could very well be part of the Ishkake records and how to tap into them, because I don't think they're written up or they're just or they're digitalized so much as it is energy that we're constantly giving off, and that energy has information in it. and it can be subtle information or emotional information, and it can take you almost, well, it can take you up to what the Buddhists call topids. And topids are mind creations. And in they're very, very real. And and they come from your thoughts, and the more you concentrating on them, the stronger you are making them, until they actually will manifest into this world. And as you're creating their form, and that you're also can create or program them as to what you want them to do for you, to protect you, to to do war for you, to, I mean, the possibilities are endless what you can do. But you also remember, you have to be responsible for these. And there have been topoids known to get away from their masters and start a life of their own and start causing a lot of chaos. So so there's responsibility that goes with creating a topoid. And the more energy you apply to them, the stronger they become. And we see this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this web, and I'm going to put it way down here. I'm going to put it way down there for just a bit, okay? Because now what I want to do is, well, I'll start with this one here first. This is what you create with your thoughts and pull from the subtle world. Now, up in the woods, we have there was a shaman that chose, instead of crossing over, to stay here for the very people that come to the woods now to learn, to learn the old ways, because somebody had to stay here to reteach, because most of this knowledge is long gone. Now, my job here, now what I'm doing here is through my thoughts here, through my heart, through my intentions, I'm calling upon the shaman to come in and join us. Now watch what happens. I'll take this one down. Oh no, actually I'll leave that one up. I'm going to take it down. Now, as I put my intentions, to what's going on here, put my attentions to the shaman, and to let him know what I want, you see the foot area, it's starting to become like foggy, and you see the body starting to shift, especially mine. You see how I'm lifting up out of my body? That's because the shaman has come in, and he's lifting me upwards, as he is all those that are focusing their intent upon the shaman. And by doing so, we're making the shamanic connection. From the shamanic connection, we're able to get information. We're able to, because once the shaman is connected to you, it shares your vibration, your frequency, and can, wherever you go afterwards, you'll be able to make connection with the shaman, and he can help teach you, which he has done me for, I don't know, 18 years, something like that. Most of everything I know actually comes from my ability to connect with the shaman. Alrighty. And Now, here is a person. This again, see the connection that the physical body actually has with the non-physical body? This is things that most people do not see. And I'm able to, I was taught by the spirits of the woods, whatever, how to be able to photograph that invisible world so that I can use it as a teaching tool to show people that this is very, very real. Now, this woman here, she's standing there and she's holding on to rods. And she's asking questions through the rods to spirit around there. And from what she found out through the rods, that one of the girls' grandmother was there. All right? But look at around her. See how the world just kind of like opened up, and it was kind of like the spiritual world and the physical world came together and meshed, so that so that information was being able to transfer into her rod, and she would be able to communicate that information to the woman that was standing there, to be able to tell that woman that her grandmother was there. But what you're seeing, the only thing that's physical is the woman standing there with the rods. The rest is all non-physical, yet still communicating. The rods are working as like a bridge. And her heart, the woman's heart and mind is as well. Now let's see. Okay. Now, when it comes to, this is your ash cake records, as far as I'm concerned. Because this is the sharing of information, the sharing of world. And as we put our thought to something, that information comes to us. Now you see, she's got her hand out, she's concentrating, she's trying to feel for information. She's standing in the fairy kingdom at the time. And that is like an elemental, like a fairy, that is communicating with her. And the strange part about it is, not for me strange, but look at, she's looking directly at that fairy light. Just as if she knew that that fairy was there. Or just as you know that your grandmother is there. Or just as you know that there's a loved one there. It's not your imagination. It really is there. It's just that, with me, I'm able to photograph and show you that there is, to take away the doubt. It's not just in your imagination. It is that you using your imagination, or the elemental using your imagination to share information or emotion. Alrighty. And here, this one's pretty amazing too, because now keep in mind, when people go to the woods, they're going there for one reason only. Well, maybe some people do, but I do not take people in there for thrills. I take people in there to allow the woods to teach them, and allow myself to teach them of what is really going on all around them. Things that they do not necessarily see with their physical eye, but usually feel with their heart and with their gut and with their, with all the other little telltale signs of, feeling cold or the hair standing up, because the body does react to all this. But you see here, she's walking down through, and she's being sprayed with information. She's being downloaded with information coming down through into her body. And now she may not be able to collect all that. I mean, she'll be able to collect all the information, but she may not be able to process it all at once. But in time, this will slowly get processed into her consciousness from her unconsciousness, um, and she will have this information, because that's what the woods does. It is its own teacher, and it uses me as a conduit, or a tool to bring people into these woods, to let them experience, to let them understand that there is life going on besides just what they can see with their physical eye, or what they have been told according to, according to the control factors out there, religion, school, society, you know. So, okay, so anyhow, that is what I have today to talk to you about. And we could talk more on it at another time. Now let's go back to, let me take care of this first. I'll take this off and I'll pull my face up again so you guys can see me. Okay, so now let's go back and see what everybody's talking about. Now, let's see. There's this, who hates you? Oh, honey, Pamela says, my dad died 2 years ago. We were not on good terms. Hate is, it's more of a physical thing. Because you gotta remember, now he's a soul. You know, the physical body has physical emotions. But when the soul leaves that physical body, because they have to have the physical emotions to experience, and maybe that's what you two were to experience together, is, this hostility, this rebellious nature. But then when the soul leaves the body, it's of a higher vibration, and the hate, that it wouldn't even be there, So I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Now there was something in here. Oh, here. Marilyn, I hope that you guys can follow this show. So now, I think Kay Hurl, I don't really know Kay, I don't think. Oh, this is a friend. She follows Brian Forrester and Heidi Hollis. So, anyhow, let's see. So, deceiving spirits, demonic forces, angels, and light, counterfeits for the truth. Some believers question whether psychic experiences of talking with the dead are real. The Bible backs up the reality of these events, but not the idea of talking with dead people. Well, it seemed to me like the disciples was talking to Christ after he was crucified, but rather, these experiences are associated with deceiving spirits, demons, angels of light, and counterfeits for the true spirit. Okay, so when Christ came back and he spoke to his disciples that he had returned, he had risen, are you trying to say that he was, they should not have paid attention to him because he could have been a deceiving spirit? I'm not quite understanding what you're saying about that. And God and the angels, it's good that you discern, I say. That is very, very good, but I mean, you don't want to get so caught up in this frame of mind of deceiving spirits, demonic forces, and and the counterfeits for the truth, that you can't see the good for fear of the bad. because we do have angels, protecting angels, and you know, God is definitely not a physical person. Christ isn't a physical person. Buddha isn't. Krishna isn't. We have angelic beings that come to us all the time. So, but you do have to. You can't. You're right. You do not have. You cannot be naive. You do have to learn how to discern spirit. But if you notice, I emphasize the word learn, because you can't. In learning something, you have to read about it. You have to talk to other people about it. You have to research it. It's not something you're going to learn just by reading one book, you know, or listening to one person, you know, one teacher talk to you about it. And many times you learn through experiences too. But so you know, you have to. You can't live a life of fear. The Spirit claims that in later times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. I totally agree with that, and that's what you're seeing with Trump today, and these Republicans. It's my God, it's just like, you know, and these white, or these uh, what do they call themselves, white extremists and stuff like that. Yeah, you it's very, when just because of, you know, when they say thou shalt not take God's name in vain, I've often felt that that's not, he was not talking about swearing. I think what he was talking about is not using his name to trick people into following the wrong path, you know. Not to use God's name in order to cause harm to another, not use God's name in order to deceive. Um, so I mean, yes, it's very, very true that it's very, very true that you have to. But you can tell, if you really want to tell. You watch the deeds, not listen to the words. Anybody can say the words. It's in the deeds. Do do, and you know, do they say that I love, or are they love? Um, do they say that they're willing to protect you, and but instead, when you give them your trust, that they actually hurt you? Um, Love comes from, or, you know, I always say God is love, love is God. So whatever comes out of love, that's from God. But if it's something that is not of love, like hate and selfishness and um, lies and deceitfulness, murder, you know, all that comes from non-love. And you can call love God, and you can call non-love the devil if you want to, but the the um, the emotion is still there. The spirit is still there. Is the spirit wanting to protect you and love you and make sure you're safe, or is it trying to convince you to hate and to kill or laugh at other people's um, um, uh, misfortunes? Because that's not of love. So what comes of love is love. Because anybody can say anything. I mean, you're right. Even Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light, but he cannot maintain himself as an angel of light. And if he did, he became. If he could maintain being an angel of light, then he turned from darkness into light, and he took care of everybody because he loved and supported them, and was willing to back love. Then, well, good for him, you know. Because it's not up to us, I mean, to condemn or to, um, you know, crucify, or to, well, I guess condemn. So if God wishes to, if Satan is given a chance to turn into a person of light and love, and willing to go along with all, the Word of God, then I guess then, and if God's willing to accept him and to forgive him, then I mean, who are we to say no? I don't think we have the right to judge anyone, to tell you the truth. Now, that is not our job here on this earth, is to judge. That's God's job. The coming of the lawless one will be in accordance with the work of Satan. Well, here you got it. You got Trump. You know, he is the lawless one. He is the one that, um, but what we can do with Trump and those all of his demonic angels and followers, and then I guess what we have to do is pray for them, and pray for us, that somehow he is and his Christian followers. I mean, not all Christians. I'm not saying that, but there's a lot, that want to hang gay people and and to burn the witches and all that stuff. That's not of love, and anybody that says that they're walking on the path of God and wanting people condemned for their sexual beliefs or the color of their skin or something like that, or they want them murdered or something like that. That's not of love. And making fun of people and people and their hardships, that's not of God, you know. What does the Old Testament say? The Old Testament warns against consulting with mediums and psychics in several instances. That's no. They used to use psychics. They were called prophets. Remember? They consulted. And then okay. And what about Christ Himself? I mean, we don't supposed to contact spirit that's crossed, well, or spirit. Well, then we don't supposed to talk to God. We don't supposed to talk to Christ. We don't supposed to talk. We don't supposed to talk to angels. No, come on. I mean, where are you hearing all this stuff? I mean, this is and I think that so anyhow, I totally understand where you're coming from, because for 40 years I was a Christian, and I know that I was taught never to question the Word of God, never look for answers outside the church, because the answers, the Word of God was inside the church, and that the pastor knew the Word of God, which I did not, and so it would be blasphemy and treasonous if I searched the knowledge anyplace else. If the church, if I did not, and I remember people coming to me wanting to talk about different religions, like maybe like a Presbyterian would go, well, let's go with the whole well, yeah, let's go Presbyterian. I was Methodist, okay, so a Presbyterian, even though it's Christian too, if he came to me and wanted to ask me questions, I was supposed to ask them. The main one was, do you follow the Word of God? Do you believe that Jesus Christ died for our sins? Well, if they didn't believe that, then I would not have anything to do with them, because my church says that they were demonic, or they were following the path of Satan. And so if they did not specifically say it, I mean, I would actually make them say it before I'd even sit down and have any conversation with them whatsoever. But I mean, this is how we've been controlled. And I remember when I finally left the Christian church, and went onto my own path, I found out, from there I was able to learn how to discern spirit, and I was able to learn that God is love and love is God, and that the true God comes through the emotions of love, through your heart, and anything that is of anger and hatred and condemnation, I was able to discern that, this was not people that I wanted to be associated with. I think that you said in here someplace that you rebuked me. Well, then I strongly advise you not following my radio show or my podcast, because this is what I teach, and God gave you free will, so you do have the free will. Nobody is forcing you to be on my radio show or my podcast. So, you know, um, rebuke all you want. It's not going to hurt me, because personally, by rebuking me, not knowing who I am and what I really stand for, that's condemnation. So as far as I'm concerned, you're ignorant right now, and you are falling into a deep pit that you really don't want to be in. But I do look at it with a little bit of hope, because of the fact that regardless of what you're saying about all this stuff, you are actually listening to the show. So the soul within may be trying to help you. And if he's trying to help you, then by all means, we'll all be there for you. So blessed be, and do what you feel is right. But don't take the path of self-righteousness or condemnation, hatred, judgment. That's not the way God. That's not a godly source. So in the meantime, my husband today, he actually made corned beef and cabbage, and I think that's pretty good. Now, I got somebody here that a lot of you guys remember. He's been on vacation for a while, and I got a different lamp. So maybe I can take this. Oh, there he goes with his yawn. Aw, thank you, Max. That's nice of you. Max is so black, though, isn't he? He is just so black. Did you see? Max, can we show them your collar? See his bow tie, guys. And we all know, anybody that has watched this show long enough knows that when Max yawns, this is his body language giving you recognition, saying hi. And he usually does it when he leaves the show too. And we even got him a bow tie so that he can talk to you guys and share his yawns with you. Oh, he's such a good dog. So I think he's done being on vacation. I think that he's come back and he's going to start doing shows. Are you going to do shows with us now, Max? You are? Okay. Yeah, he says he's going to, but there'll be sometimes he might not feel like it, and so he won't do this show. But, oh, look at here. He's bent over. See how he's bent? Okay, I'll do it this way. See, but, okay, watch. Well, anyhow, he put his head way back like that so that I could scratch him. Scratch the puppy. He likes having it underneath of his neck, his little mouth scratch. So anyhow, Brad made corned beef and cabbage, and I'm going to go down and have some. And then we're going to finish season 6, I think it is, of Ripper Street. I like that show. A lot of violence though, but I just cover up my head or play with the dog until it's done over with. I watched that on Netflix, that latest show of Stephen King's, 1822 or something like that. It's not really so much scary, but it is creepy. And I don't know about you, but I wished I hadn't watched it, because it creeped me out for the rest of the night. So anyhow, do a show tomorrow. And I think I'm going to up the resolution just a little bit. But I know that it's where the jumping and where it was taking up all my CPU is in the resolution. Because I took the resolution down, and now it's between 34 and 36 instead of 100%. And so that's a good thing. But I think I need to maybe go up one just a little bit more with the resolution. But anyhow, this show was for Barb Fox, and I hope she is sleeping away, or at least laying in bed under a nice comforter, drinking a nice glass of wine, and totally mellow. Because, like I said, if Bob hadn't contacted me, I wouldn't have done a show today. But I value all of you guys' faith in me, that I'll put out a good show and that you like listening to me. So, if you call me up and say, oh, please, please, please do a show, I'll probably end up feeling sorry and apologizing, and then I'll start a show. Some will like it, some won't. But, who cares what anybody else thinks? I just want people around me that like me and think that I am an A-OK person, and that they believe in my beliefs, and because they make me happy. And so that's the only ones I want watching my shows anyhow. If they, and like with that one woman that wanted to rebuke me, well, fine. Go away. I don't need you. And I certainly don't need somebody not liking me, because then that makes me feel bad about myself. And I don't want to feel bad about myself. And I don't want to feel bad about anybody else, including her. So sometimes it's best just to keep quiet, right? But in the meantime, blessed be, I love you. Max, one more time, maybe Max will say goodbye. Okay, we're going to say goodbye. Want to say goodbye, Max? Give me a yawn. Give me a yawn, baby. Oh, yeah, give them a yawn. There you go. There's the yawn. Oh, what a great dog you are. You're such a wonderful co-host. Okay, see you guys tomorrow. Okay, and have a great day. What's left of it, right? And if you're just waking up in the morning, like our friends, from, where are you from again? I'm sorry. One of those islands. Paradise Islands. But anyhow, all those who are just getting up, welcome. Welcome to a new day. Okay. Bye, guys. Mwah. Love ya. Okay, if I can get out of here, right? We go to sources, I think. No. We go to output. I end you here. Goodbye.